Work in progress crit part two here. So I've got Gilbert's talk to, because these are the new ones. These are the old ones,
Yeah,
right?
those are the old ones.
Okay. So talk to me here. Did you draw him?
Uh, I did a little sketch, and I guess I just penciled him.
You drew that.
Not really, but I just got references up from online too.
I know, but you said you'd use the pen tool to
Oh
make.
yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So talk to me a little bit about the different things going on here.
Um, no, yeah, I'm trying to go for like a retro logo type, but also some I want to modernize it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I'm.
I mean, these are fantastic. The one thing I would tell you, do they do both restaurant and pancake house?
They have all that in their logo. Coffee Jack Pancake House Restaurant. So I just think that would be pretty
Okay.
cool.
So if that's what it is, that's what it is. I think, I mean, when I say you basically have a whole presentation here, you really do. When I do presentations for clients, I try and give them a range, and I always say from mild to wild. So I always kind of have a choice that's just very clean and kind of corporate, and I think you have that here. And then get progressively a little crazier with everything, but you definitely nailed the retro feel on anything, and I think anything on here um, is just minor nitpicking. I'm going to see if your font's opened up here. I did activate fonts. I may have to do this. I always have really bad luck trying to activate the fonts on here. The one thing going back here, I think on a couple of these, we just need to make the name a little bit more prominent on here. Um, damn, I wish this would open up. Let's see. Well, for time's sake here, it's pretty minor stuff. Let me just clean this up. Um, this one I think is fine as is. This one, I think what I would do is just move this in so it's more of a unit. They were just kind of hanging out there before, and I think we could do that. I would probably make this a little bit bigger too. But the illustration in here is great. That's crazy. What you really, really want to do though, when you go to do these presentations, make sure anything that's a line or a stroke here, you want to make sure you come down here and outline everything. Because otherwise, you still had some line work in here. But he's great. This one, like I said, as a nice kind of, uh, as a nice kind of simple corporate logo, I think is great. The only other thing, and you have some time here, because you're using this just as a font, there might be some opportunities here to customize it just a little bit. And if I take your type and then create outlines on it, maybe it's taking the bottom of the J, and let's see if I can do this with this bad mouse. I don't know, making more of it. You could do that maybe with the F just to emphasize the initial letters or something. But those two are great. This is fun too. No, the one thing I will warn you about is it's always a little dangerous to use the same font over and over and over again because, if the client hates the font, you're kind of screwed. Same thing on this one. I think it's fine as is. But again, you do have this opportunity when you're creating a unit like this, and it's kind of nice how the apostrophe goes in there. I just outlined your type, and maybe you drop the P a little further down here just to kind of make more of a unit on it. So it's pretty minor stuff. On this one, what's kind of killing you is the gap in here. Let me take. It's always fascinating to me how you guys build this stuff. I'm going to just outline your type. I think what I would do, I'm going to move this stuff out of the way for a second. I think for a mark, you just want the F and the J to really read. So I would make them bigger. And maybe this goes in, maybe. We're trying to get the F here, the J there, and maybe you just simplify this a little bit. What's making it separate and not quite look, I would see what it looks like if you do everything in one color so it looks like a taupe that, I don't know. The way you have it currently, I think there's just a little too much dead space going in the center. So I would see if you could do that. And on this one, it is what it is. If they call it a Pancake House restaurant, I think what I would do on here, with logos, you always want the name to be the thing that pops the most on here. And I love that you've got a nod to the kind of checkered tablecloth in here. But because you have the dark red and the white pattern back here, it really draws your eye back there. I would at least look and see what it looks like if you make the type a little bit bigger and maybe break the edge of the oval a little bit. I think that would really help it a lot. And then on this one, the big issue is just that the name is getting kind of lost in here. If you make your icon a little smaller, if we make this a little smaller, and take your type, I'm going to grab the circle it's on. Oh, is it just on an arc? What I would do, you can outline this. And I would just make it a little bit big. See if you can get it bigger in here. Obviously, I'm doing it. Obviously, the curve's not right in here, but I think you really want Flappy Jacks to be a little bit more prominent against the black background in there. But these are all super minor things. I even like this down here. One thing you might want to consider. Let's see how you have this built. The only thing actually, it's pretty good. I was thinking because your type has very rounded edges on it, would it make sense to have your shapes rounded too? But the more I look at it, the more I think it's good the way it is in here. Now, what I would do, you only have to finish one of these for the assignment, but if you want to do that layout for all of them or a couple of them, I will obviously give you a lot of extra credit on it because I think you did. These are all phenomenal. I think you did a really great job on these. So really, really nicely done. Very impressed. All right, moving on. Martin, are you still here?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you had a newer one, or is this
Oh, I thought I already uploaded the new ones.
This is all I got.
Actually, you want to go back to check when I uploaded from the other thing?
No, I just downloaded right at noon. I downloaded everything I had from both the work in progress and the assignment.
Oh, so how do you get the other one I sent you?
I don't. Let's see. Do I have it? Let's see.
It should be on when you got it from the assignment. I just resubmitted the thing.
When did you submit it though?
Like a few minutes ago.
Well, I just said I downloaded these at noon, so I'll go pull it up here in a minute. Christine isn't here. Angela, thought you were here. So, what's changed since we last saw this?
So I took the suggestions from last time and then I made it less like an illustration. And I wanted to go with these two.
I think they're both great. I love this one. I'll be honest with you, your chopsticks look a little.
Yeah, I haven't been able to change them yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you have, again, we deal with a lot of visual shorthand on here. And so, we kind of have the expected shape for chopsticks. But I think if you really got them a little more pointed and we got it, and this would definitely, but this is brilliant. I love this too. The one thing that continues to concern me is just how small the name is in here. And similar to what I just did with Gilbert, let me find you. Of course I don't have your
Well,
fonts.
that's my old one.
Let me see. Well, actually, that's weird that. All right, I'll go. This is, I think, the only. Well, let me see here. The one thing I would love for you, because this one I think we're done with. I think it's perfect. The only thing I might consider on here is this all grouped? I might see what this looks like if I take it up a little bit and maybe break that first circle in here. So we need to like get rid of this here.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, is that on this one?
Yeah.
But I think you could even go a little bit bigger and break over the edge here. All I'm trying to do, I'm really trying to get the name more prominent so we can read it.
I was wondering if I should use like a different font, like the same font as the first one.
No, I think you want to show two different fonts. Here's another option you can do on this too. I'm usually not a big advocate for this, but it might work in your case. If I take your type, because I do like this font a lot. And one of the things you can do is maybe give it a slight. I'm trying to select the letters here. You can make these look a little thicker if you just give it a little bit of a white outline. That's probably too thick. Obviously on the H we lost. You might not want to do it with this font. If I do just a thin one, you might be able to. This is only 0.5, but we're losing a little bit of the type on here. You know what? Leave it alone. The other thing you can do on here too is just make the type. You have room to make the type a little bit bigger on here. I'm going to see if it'll let me. You guys, how you guys build this stuff is kind of beyond me. Let's see.
Like in a good way beyond you?
No, it keeps me on my toes because you guys always find new and weird ways to put stuff together and I have to decipher it. And you do have actually, now that I think about it, you do have a kind of big gap here. So you could conceivably make the F a little bigger and make the alley a little bigger too. And if it breaks out the side, that's fine too. That would at least get the name a little bigger. But it's a real minor thing, and if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. The one thing I have an issue with here is your noodle in the thing. It looks just kind of lumpy. Let me see how you built this. So this is a line that you do. Did you draw that by hand with the pen tool?
Yeah.
This might be another candidate if you come up here under object and come down here to path and do simplify. If we take points out, it might make it a little, oh God, it's making it worse. Never mind that. Yeah, it's just a little bit lumpy. I think. So here's the thing with curves, is the fewer points you have, the better. So if I take the white arrow, I'm only going to do one. For time's sake, I'm only going to do one. But if I come in here on your line here, and I delete some points, and then I connect these back. So I just took out extra points that you had in here. And obviously you don't want straight line noodles, but once you reconnect it, if I come over here and use the anchor point tool, which you find underneath, like if you can take some of these points out, and again, this is where your newfound pen tool skills will come in handy. You can use the handles here and make the curves look, it didn't even join it. I'm going to, do you have snap on here? No. If you ever have segments and they're not linked up, you can also come down here to path and there's a join option up here. So if you have the time, going in here and simplifying this, working with the handles, but here's ideally you should have like get rid of a lot of these points and it will make it much smoother. But that's pretty minor on here. You know, would it affect your grade? Not really, but for your portfolio, it would definitely. I'll show you this. If you want to redraw this, might be the easiest. I'll show you this with a different. I think actually if you want to do this and start over on the noodle, I'll do this in orange so you can see it. So watch how I do this with the fewest number of points. I'm going to click and drag. So 1 point. I'm going to click and drag 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, and I can always go and massage these later. Could even maybe, let's see if I can just do it here. So I can do this. I showed you guys this on the pen tool. It joined it. Let's see. I'll just fake it and go down here. So, you know, I did it in about a third the number, not even, of points that you have. And then you can go and massage these and put them where you want them. But that'll make it look a little smoother on there. But these look great. Really nicely done. Christine, you are up. So what has changed?
I had a three-dimensional look for the mug, and I took that off because I wanted to just keep it 2D with the yarn being 2D. And then I also added the second logo on the bottom.
Comments, what do you guys think? I mean, at the end of the day, you're the designer on here. I still think it's a little weird that the coffee cup is 3D and everything else is 2D on here. The one thing I would maybe consider on here is I lost you in here. There we go. Where'd your other logo go? I do think if you want to keep the coffee cup 3D, that's entirely up to you. I think it's a little fat or wide. I would probably do it. These steam details you have on here are never going to print. So what I would do, if you want to do them in black squiggly lines that would match over here, that would help tie it all together in there. But yeah, these are never going to, they're not going to print. I think you're going to have a real problem in some of the applications on here. Let me see why I don't have the second one in Illustrator. Where'd you go? Interesting. So it shows it with both of them. There we go. Um, so the line work on here. Here's the only thing I'm a little concerned about. When this goes really small, like when you're going to put it on a business card, it might start almost disappearing because the line work is so thin on here. So we're not going to know till we get into branding. It would be nice. Is there a reason you don't want to? You want to do everything in line work on here?
No, I didn't really have a plan for that. I was just putting it down.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
could color it.
Just for I'm just going to use the default browns that are up here just because but if I choose this, and then here's where understanding light and shadow becomes very useful. So here's the side of the box, but the flaps are open, so it's going to be a little bit in shadow. But the flaps are actually going to be lighter because they're flipped open. And with all these colors, you can actually put more color into it and fake it instead of brown on here. And then on this one, and I go a little darker because that one's really in shadow. And maybe you do this as an, something like that.
Kinda like that.
Yeah, I would probably either center this or put it under your name on there. But yeah, I think, what kind of cat are we talking?
Anything. I mean, it could be.
I used to have the most beautiful gray Abyssinian. So, I would play with color on this if you're going to do a second one. All right? Does that make sense? And I realize realistically, if you were writing your name on a cardboard box, you'd probably do it with a Sharpie and it would be black. But with logo design, we can cheat a little bit. And I think graphically, that's going to pop a little bit more when it goes smaller. All right. Yeah, I'm going on the record with my reservations about the 3D cup, but at the end of the day, you are the designer on
What
it.
would make that less 3D besides the steam at this point?
To be honest with you, I think lose the steam on here. See how this is just a circle sitting on a rectangle? I think if you simplified it, and you could do something as simple as if I start with a rounded rectangle, and I'm using the arrows on my keyboard to make it sharper or turn more. But what you can do is, let's see. I just started with a rounded rectangle, and then I just moved the points on the bottom in. You could still do your, steam up here if you wanted to. But I'll leave it up to you. I don't want you to do it because of me. I want you to do it because you.
Likes the flatter look better.
What?
I kind of likes the flatter look.
Yeah, and you could put. I realize it doesn't. If you go to if you want to put a little bit more detail in here, maybe it's a coffee mug that's got, you put some line work in here. I tell you, Illustrator, let's see. Very weird. It's telling me I have black lines there. Yeah, I mean, maybe you put a little decorative border on something just to give it some of the texture that you have over here. So maybe just, repeat some of these lines to tie it together. And obviously put a little handle on it. You have time, I would at least look at it and see what if you don't like it, you don't like it. All right? What we do is so subjective that I don't want you turning anything in that you really hate because you think that's what I want. That's not the way we work here. Mike, you are up next.
Yeah, there's like some changes that you made on the previous one, and I did like a redone version of the second logo I tried. You see it like on the bottom? You see this one?
Oh, I didn't even see that. Okay.
Wait a second. That's the one. That's the new one. I added a little bit of stuff and uploaded to like Canvas.
Okay. I'll double check everything in a minute here.
The one that says WIP 2.
Let me double check if I missed anything here. Did you guys do it? Let's see if I got it in here. That's the only one I got.
Yeah.
Oh, this one has the airsoft on it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the type on it. So let's talk. This one looks great. The only thing I was thinking on here is if we're talking gun sight with the red on here, do you want to extend out the targeting on here? I thought, yeah, extend the targets out. But then you have a problem if you go up into blood and down into hunters. A couple things I just want to point out to you on here. Let's see. You guys with your fonts. All right. On this one, I would say you're almost done, except you have some little weirdness going down.
That thing, I have no idea how that happened.
I'll show you how this happened. If you come up here and do preview mode, which is called outline, you can start to see somewhere you've got, let's see, how do you have this built? All right, so this, how did you build this? This is crazy. That's your problem child there. So to avoid you having to do, so you drew this with lines, and then what did you do that separated these? Do you remember?
Pathfinder.
Oh, okay. Let me see something. There you go. So here's what you need to do. Let me take it back now that I know. When you did the Pathfinder, it kind of created some really... Illustrator does not do well with really sharp points, especially when you outline them. And so when you use Pathfinder, it's these two shapes. And for some reason, they're duplicated. So click on this shape, and you can just delete it. That's going to get rid of the point over here. Click on the first one here, and that will get that one. What I would do, though, is these are still all individual shapes here. And I think what you need to do is what is the easiest way to do this? Let me try something. Okay. So this is all, oh, you've got duplicate shapes of everything here. Not that one. What you can do, let me see if this will work. You've got all these shapes, they're filled with black, and they've got this outline. You can sit here holding the shift key down and trying to select them all. Or you can also come up here under select and do same appearance. We can do same fill and stroke color. And if you do that, it should have got the whole thing. It did, almost. And then what you need to do is okay. God, you made this so hard. All right, see how you have the lines going through the center? That means this is still line work. And the problem is, if I start taking it down, it's going to do this. So I want to get your crosshairs out of the way here. So I'm going to cut them out. Now I'm going to select, let's see here. Preview can be your savior here. If you go into preview, I can select all these that way. And now, so I selected everything. I took the fill color out, the black in here. So this should nope, it still has some black in it. Let's see. Okay, now it doesn't. So, Mike, what you want to do is take this, get rid of the black fill on here. I'm going to do it back over here so you can see what's going on. Your life is going to be miserable as long as this globe stays carved up into all these little pieces. So what you want to do is, once you're able to isolate it, you want to come up here under Object. You want to outline all this line work. And then what you want to do is open the Pathfinder tool. And we want to unite everything so you have one solid globe here. And here's the thing. Remember how I took your crosshairs and I just cut it? It's still floating out there. So if I do paste in place, it makes it really easy for me to line this up. So this one looks great. On this one, I'll tell you what, I think this one's pretty cool, but I think one of the problems you have is Blood and Hunters are two different lengths. So when we look at it here, it just seems kind of lopsided, like it's going to the right. What I would probably do, I obviously don't have your font. I'm just going to use something similar. I actually love that font. I have it at my home computer. Airsoft does not need to be this important. And what you might want to do is, I want to put all the type on one line here. And when I run it all together as one word, I want to see where that falls with this. And I center it. I would probably run it all as one word and just separate it just the littlest amount here. So if I outline your type, do you really, really, really need Airsoft in there? Because here's the thing, you got your sword pointing down to it. You want it to point to your name. You don't want to be an advertisement for Airsoft. You want to promote your name in here. So I would have that, you know, if you wanted to do this smaller, underneath, you could do that. That would be better. The only other thing I would do on here, you've got a certain boldness to the outlines and everything on here. First of all, I think on your sword, you're making too much of the hilt here. I would probably raise it up away from your type a little bit and extend your blade. And then I think this, I would make this outline not that big, but make it a little larger. Are you guys paying attention, or what are you guys doing?
We're looking at cat expo.
So what I would do is make your line weight a little heavier and then open the stroke panel and show the options, because you'll notice it's kind of screwing up your type by having the outline go inside. If you click this action, align stroke on the outside, I think it will give you a better look on here. But these look great. Real happy with them. All right, next up, I know I've probably kept you here longest than I ever have here. Oh, there's the other one. Okay. Matt, is this the new one? Yeah. Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you happy with it?
I actually really am. But I feel like they're like they can do something with the polish glass like the one last time.
Yeah, I think what I would do on here, I think it looks great. I do think you need a little space between San Gabriel water polo because you have gaps over here a little bit. Let's see. Is that your new? Let's see. That's the old one. Interesting. So that's the old one. Why? There we go. The player looks great. The type looks great. The splash is still a little bit difficult on here. I think though on this, it's just this point here. If you go under the pen tool and get the anchor point tool, maybe it's just rounding that a little bit and not having it come to a point. So you can use the anchor point tool to kind of smooth out some of these curves on there. I don't mind the angles on the player, like for his wrist and his arm there, because that's more anatomical. The other thing I would do on this looks a little unfinished compared to everything else. You can try what I tried on a couple of these, see if we can simplify this a little bit by taking some points out. In this case, it actually might help round these out. And I think I really think I would not impinge on your player here. And this one is just a little weird. I would just take this out. You don't want it touching the G on here. And this looks like there might be, no. When you get a spike like that, again, Illustrator does not handle angles well, so come up here under the pen tool, get the anchor point tool. If you click and drag on it, you should be able to, there are 2 points under there. There you go. So I would just make sure this doesn't really touch the type or touch the player on here. So I'd probably yeah, here's another, sharp corner on here. Grab that anchor point tool and you can click on it. And that's going to help smooth stuff out. I mean, that's looking a little better already, I think. But it looks really great. Have you shown your dad?
Not yet.
Okay. One thing, and I meant to mention this before, do we need to put a little bit more information to show it's a water polo ball up here?
I couldn't really come up with anything.
Okay. Well, you have time over the break and you're in really good shape on this. So, if you want to just spend a little bit of time, I would say it's not a deal killer, but it would, water polo balls are pretty unique the way they look, and even if you could get just a little bit of detail in, but the rest of this looks great. All right, next up, Mr. Ian. Talk to me. What's going on?
So, my sign, I messed up and I have to like go back and edit it because like all the edges are like ugly looking and not like connected. And then the top one is like the black and white, the Riverbend Resort, like just black and white lettering. I think it's like simple. It's like, you know, it's basic, I would say. But, and then the bottom one, then there's one with trees, and then there's the bottom one, which I want to make it look like a camp patch. But I have a face that I want to like trace in, and then I just haven't gotten to it. And then top, I kind of gave up on. It's just
Which one? This
the
one?
top left one, the Riverbend Resort.
Yeah, ditch that one.
Is that one? Okay.
I love, first of all, this one's great. Nice, clean, simple logo. I could see it on clothing, caps, all that good stuff. On these, you're veering off into illustration territory again.
Okay.
And so it's like simplify. It's kind of like what we did on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you too. I get why you chose the colors you chose here, but I also have been doing this a long time. Like, I love the colors you have there
Yeah.
better than this.
Yeah.
Let me show you. This is a relatively new tool that you can.
I clicked Command Z one too many times, and so I lost what I had.
That's why I'm like constantly saving versions of everything. Let me see if this is yours. All right. Are you seriously going to put him in there?
I texted my boss about it, and she said, "Can you have one with him?"
Oh, wait.
And
So let me show you on him. I'll do it on the gray. Don't forget you have the option to do image trace on him.
that's what I was gonna do.
So if you do image trace up here, remember you always have a control panel here, so you could actually add less detail or more detail to it. You can also come up here and choose. In this case, I would do like, what does a black and white logo look like? So again, you can add more darkness to it. As you use this slider, you can see you're losing or gaining detail on it. Once you do that though, it has its own expand button up here. So if you click that, and once you're done, you can add color in him if you want to. You know, on your other logos, I ditched the other one.
Yeah.
This is fine as is. I don't think you need another version on it.
Okay.
On this one, I love how you just rotated it to slap it in there. One thing I would do on here is I think a little bit on the Russian River is a descriptor on this, all right? And you've made it almost as big as the name of the resort. What I would do is make this smaller and maybe I'm going to take Riverbend, I'm going to take Resort. So I think you have the opportunity to make these considerably bigger on here. I would maybe stair step it, maybe center it. I would do that.
Okay.
And then the other thing, this is the newish tool. I just know from experience that these really dark colors are probably going to print a little bit muddy. Here's a trick that they have. And if you come up here under edit, remember where I took you to go grayscale?
Mm-hmm.
If you come up here under edit color and do recolor artwork, it gives you this little color wheel. These are all the colors you have in your logo. You can actually spin these around and test drive other colors if you want to. You can also come down here and de-emphasize certain colors or emphasize certain colors by clicking on the dividing line in here. But the other thing you can do, and I'm going to cancel this here, is Riverbend Resort, Russian River. Are they washed out up there?
Yeah, it's like flooding.
So what can we do to find, here, is this the actual resort?
Mm-hmm.
I want to show you a little trick. This has some really great color in it. I'm going to drag it into your image. I'm going to select your logo, go up here under Edit, Edit Color, Recolor Artwork, and what you can do is click on this color theme picker, and if I go here, it will pick up all the colors from that photo, which might be some better options for you. I would still fine tune it,
Okay.
but your colors look really dark and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a resort, you want something that looks really kind of lighter and fresher on there. On this one, here's the thing. If you're going to put type on a curve like this, it's better not to use italic type because it starts giving you all kinds of weird angles on there. And then the interior, you know I'm not a big fan of your trees and cabin, right?
Yeah.
If you want to, I would. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I just didn't know how to
But
change the thing.
change the font. If this has an unitalic version. Oh wait, let's see. Black letter italic. Seriously, it only comes in. All right. Yeah, don't do an ital version of it. But there you got. So you got, like, 3 good logos. All right, trying to wrap this up. I know you guys hate being here this late. Leba, are you still with us? So these are great. Are you happy with them?
Yeah, it's kind of doing the front.
Well, you can try different color combinations if you want. I will tell you, on these, having the yellow and the green makes it look a little rich. When you do all shades of the same color, sometimes that can make it look a little, less expensive looking. So whatever color you do, I would do 2 colors. I think that looks better. Maybe the red with maybe the red with the yellow, or maybe the blue with the kind of light salmon color. I would test drive these, but this looks great. This looks great too. I like all the color combinations. I think the ones where you emphasize the M over the shape. Remember, the eye will always go where it's the contrast. So when you look at these, you're going to look at this shape on top first. And for a logo, you want them to think about the name of the business. So I think the darker M's and the lighter dome shape is going to be a little bit bigger. I will be honest with you, this is kind of bugging me, but you are the designers. So on this one, part of me just really wishes, let's see, you locked it. You locked it so I couldn't do anything to it.
It's unlocked.
Yeah. Part of me just wishes, see the white channel you have between the dome and this? Part of me really wishes you had that same width up here. Oh, you have everything locked within everything.
No, the bottom.
Oh, the bottom one. Yeah, part of me just wishes. I'm trying to grab it here. It's not letting me. I'll just do it with this shape. It's going to be faster here. Part of me just wishes that gap was similar. What do you guys think, with or without?
Go back. I
You-
like the width, so you see the end.
Yeah, so the easiest way to do that,
Go half.
I'm always about trying to find the easiest way to do anything on here. If you use your white direct selection tool and get those points and these points, you might be able to just use the arrows and go up. I missed a point over here. Click and drag and get these points. I think you have 2 points there. Hold the shift key down, click and drag that. And if you just use your arrows and go up 2, maybe 3, I think it's going to look a little bit more finished. But these are great. You have 2 really nice logos, 2 really professional looking logos. Are you happy with them?
Yeah.
One thing I would do, because I think it would be worth putting both of these in your portfolio, is whatever color scheme you choose for one, do a different color scheme for the other, because that way you're showing a little bit of range in your thinking on there. But these are great. And then, oh, here's Mike's other one. All right, so that's everything I have. Did I miss anyone? All right, you guys know the drill. I'm sending you off into spring break. I don't expect you to work, but in all honesty, I think everyone has a little bit of work left to do on this. So just remember, this is going to be due with that format, white background, black background, small and in black and white. That will be due the Thursday we come back.
Do we have access to the lab over break or no?
No, you don't. I do not believe so.